The first thing you should know about my friend Andrew is that for a while now, he's played Season 7 Tom Haverford to my Andy Dwyer. The scene that sums it all up is when Tom is negotiating Andy's contract for the Johnny Karate Super Awesome Musical Explosion show. Tom says very sternly, in the words of Jerry Maguire, and Andy cuts him off with, the human head weighs 8 pounds. And then Tom negotiates a better deal for Andy anyway. The next thing you should know about Andrew is that he also plays Season 6 April Ludgate to my Andy Dwyer, specifically when Johnny Karate starts to take off. Andy's earning money and having fun, but he's playing at children's birthday parties, so he's worried because he was supposed to be a rock star. To which April replies, who cares what you were supposed to be? And she supports him in his very own pursuit of happiness.
The first thing you should know about my friend Mrs. Filholm is that she keeps this show running. Every week after we finish recording, I send the audio files to Mrs. Filholm, who edits them for content and preps them for Jonah. Then, after Jonah pulls together the finished product, Mrs. Filholm listens to the episode once more to create show notes. If you count actually recording the episode, Mrs. Filholm listens to each one 3 times before it ever gets published. The next thing you should know is that Mrs. Filholm sometimes exercises executive privilege when she edits for content. Last week, I noticed that Mrs. Filholm completely threw out her original opening and inserted a different one that I'd never heard. Of course, her new open was much less frazzled than the original, and much more complimentary of me, so I let it slide this time. Welcome to Half My Age, a weekly show in which a 25-year-old adult and a 50-year-old child help each other make sense of the world.
They were identically complimentary of you, really. I can't stop, won't stop that business. But it was super frazzled, and that's right. I have the recording studio right here.
I really wish that I had recorded you talking to the exterminator on the phone. I didn't know if we were going to be able to record after you finished, basically not yelling at them, but kind of like hysterically, it's not okay, and there are mice in my bathroom, and
I told you, I didn't want you to hear that. And then later in that day when they came by and fixed up all the holes and they were in my crawl space, oh my God, on and on and on. And then when the guy left, I was sobbing. I was still sobbing when this young man left because he said, okay, now we really think we've plugged up all the holes in your house, so you're probably going to see some more mice inside because now they're trapped indoors. And I just was sobbing when he left. But here's the good news. No more mice.
Oh, last time we speculated that the mice were coming in through the drain. Is that true? How are they getting into the bathtub?
I don't know that it was exactly the drain, and the guys who come can't answer things directly like that. Like when I say literally, how do you think they're getting in? There was a lot. I mean, really, they go, well, any tiny space. I'm like, right, but are they coming in through the pipe? Because you got to think the drain has the trap. You know what I mean? A drain has a U shape.
It seems like a very difficult place to...
With water in it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But are they in my pipes? They said there were lots of holes in the floor or whatever under the bathtub. So the guy who first came did not even look in my crawl space. Where the heck do you think the mice are going to come from? So they went and spent a good couple of hours, 3 of them, in my crawl space that very day, last Thursday, because I called after you left, because I did hang up the phone because it was taking too long, and I knew it was going to require that kind of hysteria, which I hate. I hate it, and that's the second time in a row that I have had that age-old and so frustrating customer service experience where it's like you have to do the thing. We talked about it last week. You yell fuck 3 times and get on the thing and ask to speak to the manager, and finally you get what you want. They went from telling me that they couldn't come until Saturday to George called me, local guy, and said, hi, they'll be there in 10 minutes.
Wow.
And they were there in 10 minutes, and they spent 2 hours plugging up all of the holes in my crawl space, which seems like where you would begin.
Well, I'm glad. Well, the first guy, I'm sure, didn't want to go and explore the crawl space, right. that dark, dingy,
nobody wants
cold.
to explore the crawl. What do you think you're doing here?
even mice don't want to live down there right now.
I guess that's right. They want to come in. So the speculation is that they would just come up through any kind of crevices around the bathtub, not necessarily the drain pipe. But anyway, the good news, Andrew, don't I feel much calmer today?
You seem much calmer.
Holy cow. That was awful. I hated listening to that episode. I really did. That's not why I was late in scheduling it. I actually sent you the wrong file. That was a different reason. That's because I had a voice job and I just got confused. So the timing, that was just my stupidity. But then the weekend got kind of crazy because, we had some excitement with my father. So
Do you want to go into it?
I can just give a little bit of follow-up on that because we have talked about it, and then we haven't talked about it for a while. We moved him into the new home a few weeks ago, as we know, and I remember back on this program I talked about, I wasn't confident that it was the right place for him. Well, I was right. That's not how fun turns out, but we have now moved him to a second place.
You never go to a second location with an Alzheimer's patient.
I know. Right. Right.
But in this case, it's important that you do, I suppose.
Oh, good golly. So we have now moved him to a second place that truly seems much more able to meet his needs. And then last weekend, I don't want to tell too many of the details, but we think it's a medication thing. And I know that this is actually very typical. And there seems to be something that happens when a memory patient moves and like makes a big transition like that. Like somehow the body responds suddenly to medication differently, or maybe he's taken it in a different way. I don't know. But they do think it's a reaction to medication. My father got very violent. He had to be taken to the emergency room. He was attacking other people. But the cool thing is that this place, I mean, you know, my father we've never seen that. He was a wrestler in high school and college, but like the gentlest man of all. I mean, that's the crazy thing.
That is crazy.
Oh, it's crazy. And it's not unusual. You can still look in my direction even though I moved your table.
That's okay.
I'm staring at you in profile. That's okay. You don't want to look at me.
Sometimes it's easier if I just stare straight ahead.
Well, I know. Anyway.
For those of you at home, today the recording studio changed a little bit. Now I'm facing towards I'm facing north, whereas I used to face west towards Mrs. Filholm.
Yeah.
And it's all in the name of good audio. So if you think it's any better, let us know.
Let us know.
If you think it's worse, don't let us know. Do let us know. You should let us know.
I still think you can tilt that screen in the way that makes more sense.
Yeah.
To block me and you.
I have a very small table ever since you demoted me.
Sorry. We can get the bigger table back in there too if you need it.
That's okay.
I'm telling you. Oh, and
that's okay.
I didn't mean to leave those clamps there. I'm recording. I'm going to start charging a little bit to record some things. And so today I've got some people coming over to record a demo for their podcast.
I think that's great.
Yeah.
I'm excited for you. And this studio space has really contributed to our outrageous success.
Yeah.
And I hope that many people see that in the same way that people look at Abbey Road and they want to record an album at Abbey Road.
Yeah.
They want to come to the Atelier at the Dollhouse on Shakedown Street.
I know. God, I hope this isn't our success.
Did you have any more to say about your father?
Just that was such a stunning thing to see him have this real personality change. And so they have... We think it's a medication thing. Like they said, we think that about 20 minutes after we give him this med every day, he has this reaction. He just gets agitated. And it's getting worse, and it's part of the disease. So it's kind of a full meds panel. But the good news is I think he's in a safe place. They seem to be in a very loving community. I'm thrilled. But I was sitting in the hot tub with my friend Kim Dreiling on Friday night, like finally having girls' night. And haven't seen each other in a long time. And, I'm getting these calls, and then there's a hospital thing. And, I mean, just a lot of stress. So
it's very unnerving.
Crazy. It was unnerving, and it was a lot. But the good news is that the place where my dad is now, honestly, in fact, they actually said explicitly to me, we are not even close to giving up on your dad. We think we can do this, which is great because the first place he hadn't gotten to this stage, but there were similar things happening. He was going in other people's rooms, and he was like lashing out at people a little bit when he got frustrated, and they just said, we can't have this. And we're like, well, neither can we. So that felt very terrifying.
I'm still amazed that the other place can advertise themselves as a memory care or having a memory care function and not being able to handle that. And he, like you said, there were no violent outbursts at the last place on the scale of the new place. Mm-hmm. And that was just too much for them. I don't understand what service they actually offer in terms of memory care.
Boy, I don't either. And you haven't even seen the place. I think it's like they agree to not let people who have die or be unsafe if they are wheelchairs. It seemed to be a place if they are in wheelchairs, like if they're more sedentary and my dad gets up and walks around. I am absolutely baffled. And the truth is it probably I should follow up. I have a little number in there for there's kind of an OMSBUD program for nursing care in Colorado, and I probably should call and maybe make a complaint. I mean, yeah, it was pretty traumatic to be why didn't they tell us that they couldn't meet these needs? Because anyway.
One step even more removed is why did they advertise that they could?
Yeah. Right.
Why would they put themselves in that position?
That's the baffling thing to me, right? And I know my mom said to them, he's active, he walks around a lot. And and what he is doing is very, very, very typical Alzheimer's, behavior. So that's exactly what are you equipped for? And why would you do it to yourselves, right? Why would you take on a person that you can't handle? It's very baffling to me. It's been very hard. Good news is there is a more basement level of we're okay because he's not in my mom's care, And so she can make better decisions and she's getting better sleep. She still really struggles with thinking she didn't do the right thing. And I'm telling you she did. And the other thing is that more and more, probably because of the big changes in his life and probably because of medication, boy, oh boy, has my dad gone downhill.
Yeah.
Oh boy, Andrew. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. Yep. So anyway, so that was a rough weekend, and I appreciate that you took the show over and you wrote very good show notes. I have gotten a little lazy because I am sick of listening to our show 3 times in a row. And I have gotten a little lazy, and your show notes were clever and good. And was your show art just rando picture?
Yeah, it was a picture.
Because you've been telling me that it doesn't matter, just put a picture up. It doesn't even populate to any of the
That was a
feeds.
picture of Rocky Mountain National Park that I took a couple weeks ago.
Yes, you did mention that.
I want to mention, for those of our listeners who have no idea that we even have show notes, in your podcast player of choice, there should be some kind of option. The one I use is called, Pocket Cast, only because I'm an Android user. If you have an iPhone, I recommend using Overcast.
I use Overcast, Andrew.
Yep, you should. And in mine, there's a little icon that looks like a page. And when I click that, I can see basically the blog post that accompanies every audio file. So Mrs. Filholm has been super diligent about putting in links to things we talk about, and sometimes, actually all the time, we do a little thank you to the Jonah who edits this podcast, and there's always a new little blurb about Jonah every week, always different. And it's kind of a, you don't need to look at it to enjoy the show, but there's always some fun little hidden stuff in there.
I know, it's a lot of work we do, really, that's stupid, like writing those little things and picking a show art. Jeez Louise.
And if you can't figure this out in your podcast player of choice, you can go to halfmyage.show, which is our website where these episodes get posted originally and before they get picked up by your podcast player. And the full post is, you can see it on the website.
And if you want to reach out to us, if you're listening, how would you do it?
You would send us an email at HMA@Slova, that's SLOVA.app, Alpha Papa Papa.
Now, I have a question about that.
Yes.
Andrew Bridges, what email client, server, whatever the hell, what interface do you use to read your emails?
I use Gmail.
Do you really right here on the web interface?
Yeah, I use the web interface, and then, like I said, I've got an Android phone, so I use the Gmail app on my Android phone.
Okay.
I'm all Gmail for the email and the calendar, and I like it. I like it quite a bit.
As you know, last week my Gmail broke, and now I'm afraid it might be broken again because I have no new messages today, and that is not real.
Just call it a blessing.
No, it freaks me out, Andrew. I mean, the truth is I'm losing my mind because I am in the midst of sending off a lot of stuff about my book and things. What the heck went wrong? You fixed it.
I didn't do anything
you
except
didn't do anything?
log in online.
I had already fixed it.
Must have.
Damn it. I'm not kidding. I don't love the interface.
So in troubleshooting your email problem, you noticed, maybe it was last week, that you were not receiving emails, and it seemed as though the emails that you were sending were not going out. Was there any indication of... You said that you were following instructions to fix the problem. What had you diagnosed the problem as, and what instructions did you follow?
I can't remember. And here's the thing. I'm still confused because the mail thing, like the icon when I press mail on my Macintosh Book Professional, the thing that says mail, right? Mm-hmm. That thing is still broken. And I have tried resetting it. I tried a lot of turning my computer off and on and blowing on things and following, like, why can't I get my email instructions and re-hooking up to, I don't remember what I did. I really don't. But I did a lot of things. That little mail
So is that
thing,
how you're checking your email?
That's how I usually do. So now I know it's dead to me. I cannot make it re-sync with my Gmail again, which frustrates me because I am used to the interface and I prefer and I use it on my phone. But right now I am on the Gmail web version. Mm-hmm. I think the problem is that it splits it up into updates, promotions, social, blah, 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 and then I miss things.
Oh, okay. Well, we can fix that. That is easy enough. Let me.
But
open
I'm
up
not
my
sure I
Gmail.
want to really undo that. But see, I missed a notice from Wells Fargo that mattered to me.
Do you want to change it back so that it's all one stream or not?
I don't know. I don't, because I don't know that I want all those promotions in there. Yeah, I kind of do want to, because then at least it's not change it back. I am not used to this interface. I can figure it out. You don't have to tell me how to do that on air. I don't get it. I don't.
It's simple. You've got it open, right?
All right.
So there's a little cog underneath your user in the upper right-hand corner.
Yes.
Click the cog, and then you'll see several tabs. General, labels, inbox. Go to the inbox one.
Wait, what? I'm seeing displayed configure inbox.
So from there, go to settings.
Okay.
And then the inbox tab. And then see how it's got all those check boxes?
Yeah.
Just leave primary checked and uncheck all the others. And that will put everything back into a single stream, so you don't have to worry about checking all the tabs in order to find your new emails.
Okay. And right here in the Gmail web interface, is that what it's called? Is that the right nomenclature?
Yeah.
I needed to spend some time in here because if you use it, I will use it. If this is the best way to use, to do these things, my email, I will do it. But I'll bet that things like that right in there that I just did, I'll bet I can go here and make this a better optimal experience for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I need to do that because I'm feeling overwhelmed, and I need some 43 folders, actually. I'm feeling overwhelmed by email.
Yeah, there's a lot of good resources for this. I know Merlin Man he's a Gmail power user, and he likes all of the key commands. There's a lot of keystrokes that you can use to go through your email very quickly and archive and save.
Is that right?
Remove. And yeah, I personally don't use them because I haven't taken the time to learn them. But he says that he just flies through his email, and I got to believe he gets more than you and I do.
I know, and I get a lot, and I've got to learn how to discard things more efficiently because I have, Okay, so I think I'm willing to put in a little bit of time in the next week, I'll say. I'll check in with you, Andrew, about being better at email, because you have described it as the only mission-critical communication in your life.
If someone wants to put themselves on my calendar, the best way to do it is through email.
Right, you have mentioned that. You have even mentioned, that's the best way. So I need to, truly, I have emails out there I have good news emails. I have Tattered Cover Bookstore. They're going to take my new book. I have good stuff that I don't want to miss. Yeah. And I have a message, as I said, from Wells Fargo that was alarming, and I missed it by a day. And it's like, damn it. But it's because it was in my updates. Well, I'm not going in. Okay, now I know. That's fine. Sorry, listener. So boring. We can cut it out. But that's a real need to me. And when I think about, and I also know that I should sit down with this machine of mine and do some more kind of pruning and organizing of my files, for example. But honestly, to this minute, I sit down. I'm having the same problem Merlin Mann is having. Are you having the double E problem? That's a fresh new hell. That's a new thing with this keyboard. Double E's.
That's the one I've been having the whole time.
Oh, interesting.
Double E's, double R's.
That's my new one is double E's. I have no problem with the R's. T-I double G-er, the cute thing they did in that movie. T-I double G-er. I've had a lot of other problems, but now I am fully in the double E's. There's double E's in every word I write. So
Sounds like a breast size.
It does.
Double E's.
Okay, so for example, here's a stupid thing. I'm sitting here working with Jonah on my audiobook recording. So one thing I just want to do is write out for him the different sections that I'm going to record in for his and my edification. So what I'm doing is I'm writing chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3 in a list. It is far easier to cut and paste chapter 1 and then go in and then backspace and add the different number than it is to type out chapter, because the double E takes as many, I'm counting the number of processes here. I have to go click, remove the E. Is that more efficient than clicking it? Oh.
Well, so the last time that we really talked about these keyboard troubles plaguing us, neither of us went in and did anything because it was sporadic enough that, we didn't know if we could reproduce it for the person who needed us to reproduce it in front of them.
Yep.
If this is happening constantly now, you may take it back to the Apple Store and have them change out your keyboard overnight. Several months ago, they announced that they would start doing overnight repairs, where previously they kept your computer for weeks.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm. So it's worth checking out.
Okay, well, I will check it out because I just typed BE and there was only one E. So it's like it hears you and it does that thing where it's like I can't replicate it for you because no, thank you. Okay, well, thanks for that, Andrew. We have some more follow-up on...
We've got a ton of follow-up.
Do we? Okay, what
Yes.
else?
So I've got 3 things we could talk about. We could follow up on the dating conversation from last week.
Yes, please.
We could talk about cultural appropriation, or we could talk about Mercury being in retrograde.
Oh, gross. We have Mouse follow-up, got that. Move My Dad follow-up. I have comedy follow-up. I get 2 minutes only.
Do you want me to set that timer? Let's get that over with. Let's eat our vegetables.
Oh, my God. Why don't you like it?
I get enough of that when we're not recording.
No, you don't. You never see me. And you are the one who, when I first started talking about it in last December, you said, I like talking about the Denver comedy scene. And now you hate it.
That's right. Well, you've replaced me anyways. We went to that comedy show, and I met the comedy version of Andrew, Bizarro Andrew.
It's true.
A little bit more bearded.
Not anymore. He just shaved his beard. It's the weirdest thing. I wish I got to roast him on Tuesday night. I had some zingers, but I didn't get to. Yep, a little more bearded. He is. He's the comedy Andrew. He's your age, and he's a good, solid friend to me with a very, very clear boundary that is a son-mother kind of, relationship or friend relationship, in fact. But just that's a very clear, yeah, he is the nighttime. Well, yeah, but whatever. I think you would be so proud of me. Okay, I'm not going to tell you everything. I do have the clean competition next weekend. You coming to that, right?
I got a scheduling conflict we'll have to talk about on there.
There is nothing that could take that
There's
place.
3 things, actually.
Oh, are there? That are better than that? Okay, we'll
they
talk
compete.
about it.
Actually, I guess we can talk about it right now.
All right.
In the Bridges household, my immediate family, parents, brothers, girlfriends, we have 3 November birthdays. And they want to lump them all together and celebrate on Clean Comedy Night.
Okay, well, that's legit.
So here's the thing. I know that if I look at the listing for Clean Comedy Night, there's many comedians, many comics who are going to be on stage that evening, and your name is almost at the very end of the list. Is that an actual order of appearance? No. Okay. So I was thinking maybe I could come for the end and still catch you.
We won't know the order until the night of.
Oh, do you draw out of a hat or something?
No, I don't know how they do it. They tell us what the hell order. They said they put a show list up and we go by it. And it's not in alphabetical order?
Nope.
Oh, that's funny, isn't it? Is it in first name alphabetical order?
On what planet is L at the end of the alphabet?
Well, okay. I'm just saying.
You should be. I would expect you to be dead center in all.
Well, me too. I know, but Andrew, I know. I mean, obviously, I'm used to being dead center, and you're used to being first. But sometimes you'll get a list of people, and there aren't a lot of W's and Z's and R's, and so I'm at the end. I just wondered because I think the way they first posted it to us was alphabetical by first name. That's why I was asking. That doesn't matter. No, I have no idea my order.
So I'm trying to sort that out. There's a possibility I may be there. I need to talk to the scheduling czar in the Bridges family.
Sure.
That would be
well, I was going to suggest, why don't you just bring them all to the show? Well, that is funny. There doesn't make any sense there. No idea how they order. That's weird. Maybe they picked us out of a hat. I have no. Maybe I was the last one. It could be that I was second to last to get accepted because I'm newish. Anyway, okay. Well, there you have it. So happy birthday to everybody in the Bridges family. I understand that. Who cares? You don't really like coming and seeing comedy anymore, anyway. But on the show on
why don't
Tuesday,
you tell me how I feel, Mrs. Filholm?
Well, you won't come out, and you don't want to hear about it. And it's a bummer because you used to be all in for it. You used to think it was great that I was doing comedy. Now you're like so bored by it. It's weird. You were one of my biggest supporters.
Your biggest fan, your largest fan.
You were. So now I don't have any fans, but I did Comedy Works New Talent Night. And I will just say this. I felt very good about it. I always learn. My favorite thing, as we have discussed, is notes in the green room.
Mm-hmm.
I was very proud of what I did. It was not as nasty a set as I did the last time in my estimation, but it was very good. And here is one cool feedback that I got from, and we had a pro there giving us notes. So the notes took so long. It was so cool. Like we were still sitting in the green room long after the audience left. We could hear them all going out. So we had all of those pros and the headliner, and we were still sitting back there getting notes. And I got the note that I love the most was you had the women in the palm of your hand, Lisa. You gave a voice to the women and you empowered the women is what the pro-woman comic said to me. And I went, so cool, right? Thank you. That's amazing. But also I had no idea because all week long, all the other venues, everywhere else that I'm doing it, it's for men, it's for men, it's for men. It's mostly for other comics who are mostly men. It's so weird to know that there is this, like, I had this sort of pull in the audience that I didn't even know about because I don't get to practice that. It's kind of cool.
That is cool.
Mm-hmm. So it was well
cool.
received, and I felt very proud.
You've talked quite a bit about how the people who attend these open mics at the bars are almost never your specific audience, especially when you were working on the teenager type material. All those people with teenagers were at home regretting having children so many years ago. And it's interesting to know that you've got that female angle too, the women angle, the woman angle, that is also underappreciated in open mic comedy in the middle of the night.
I mean, absolutely, right? Absolutely. They're not out there, but they are sometimes at the comedy club. The comedy clubs, a lot of times it'll be girls' night out. Let's go see a comedy show, right? There are lots of women in the house, but there are never women in the house when I'm out there doing stuff. And then Tuesday night after that, after the notes, I went out to the late night show that we always do, and I did newish stuff. I think I have the approach I'm going to do for my clean set. And so I started with it. I did not do clean work. In fact, it was this late night set, so I was obnoxious. And as you do, you're trying to pull focus, you're trying to grab people, and I did okay, and I was proud of it. Anyway, it was very fun. And so now from here on out, I'm back at the clean work. And the clean comedy is going to be about parenting teenagers, and it's what I've always done before the past year. And so I'm getting excited about it now. As we talked about last week, it was feeling like a punishment. But now I did my show at Comedy Works, did a great thing, and now I'm excited to do a clean set. I really am. I can't wait.
Good. I'm glad.
It'll be fun. It'll be fun to work on it between now and then. Now, one of the things they did late at night, this will be an awesome segue, is that the young kids, my friend, the nighttime you, the comedy version of you, got up and he started a couple jokes, and he said, hey, and it was like 1 o'clock in the morning, right? He goes, you guys, instead of me telling my jokes and doing my set, do you want me to read can we mess with this other kid's Tinder? Because they had already been discussing it. And so then that's what he did for his set. He and this other kid got up there, all these young kids, and they were just like messing with his Tinder. I can't even remember. I was taking pictures. It was so freaking funny. It was like, and they were also actually entertaining and funny and kind of playing characters, that it was this cool 3 minutes. Then as the other people came up and did comedy, the kid whose Tinder had been messed with would come up and give updates. And the first one, of course, was, okay, so she just blocked me. And then he'd come again and go, I found her on Instagram. And the point for me is that, and then at one point he, like, I don't know if it was the same girl, I was barely paying attention. It was so funny. Some woman was texting him or messaging him. Maybe they were on the app. Maybe they had gone off. I'm sure they were on the app. Back and forth, like live. Like they're going, oh my God, you're going to get some tonight. You're going to go out. Oh, this is great. And then I guess she asked for a dick pic, and he stood on a chair and took a picture of all of us, like looking up at the camera, like,
that is a dick pic. Dick move.
Dick move. And so then she blocked him. I mean, but I learned a lot about how, and it was what my instinct was last week. I learned a lot about how some people treat this as just an absolute joke, and other people are out there looking for love. And
yeah, I want to take a second and remind everyone that this poor girl on the other end who's just looking for a little dick pic, she's been exposed as a dick pic. She's been exposed as dick pic curious to an entire bar full of.
Well, this one in particular, they were pretty sure was a porn bot at that point. And again, so this is where I was fascinated about it. Is that the first thing, like the first thing that fascinated me is that when he goes, okay, she's blocked me, which is absolutely what we thought. And it was mostly because of this. This is what the other kids were doing. She like posted a picture of herself having fun or something, messaged it to him. And this young woman who was on Team Hijack just sent like all the emojis, like stupid rando emojis. And at one point, just like a bunch of eye rolls and cows and stuff like that. So they were just being absurd and not, but still. That A, I realized that happens. B, the fact that then she just blocked me, then follow up too, I think I just found her on Instagram. Oh, golly, how creepy and weird. So, update for me.
Yeah,
I'm off of Hinge. I was on for 6 days. I met one man who was a childhood friend of mine.
Wow, the app that's designed to be deleted comes through again.
Deleted and more single than ever. It's deleted.
Wait a minute. You can't leave us hanging. You came across this person that you knew when you were a child?
I'm going to tell you all about it.
Okay.
I'm not leaving you hanging at all.
Okay.
I ran into this guy on Hinge, I was 100% just liking people who made me laugh, as you know. Ran into this guy. I did see him live and in person, and it was adorable to see him. We swam together when, he was 12 years old and I was 14. It was adorable and funny and like a cool walk down memory lane sort of thing. And also like weird, he's been at the university where I've been for the same amount of time before I quit. So like we must have seen each other in person, but didn't recognize it. It was totally funny, totally not a love match, great, fine, fun. Actually, I took him out to do open mic comedy because he actually knows one of the kids that, like, he coached a kid who's out there doing comedy now. So it was like a really, really fun time. But that's it. Okay. So I met that person. And also Hinge for the win. That's like a safe man who my mother knows. And I know his mom. You know what I mean? That was like a cute little, like, reminiscent blast from the past. Like, good to see you, man. That was cool. Adorable. And then I met one guy who I have his text number now, who has resolutely said, I am recently divorced and not into a relationship, but also nothing. I don't know. I don't even know why I'm on here. And he, same thing. And so I don't know if he's on Hinge or off Hinge now, but this one person whom I may meet someday for like a coffee because maybe he could be my friend. And like, he's the kind of guy I have told him, maybe you should check into Colorado Rebuilders. That's the class I took because I think he's where I was a year ago, like recently moved out and just freaked out. And he seriously he goes, I am just on Hinge because my friends told me I should. I don't know. I don't like it either. So those are the love connections I made. End of story. Good enough. Thank you very much. That's fine. The rest of it was kind of gross, Andrew. The rest of it was very creepy and confusing and gross. So I got off of it. I deleted it.
So I want to bring up the article that I sent you.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Apparently, you're not the only one having trouble finding love in Denver.
One.
It's a totally fraught process.
Right.
And so this is an article from 303 Magazine, which I've never heard of. Have you heard of this publication before?
What is it? 303 Magazine.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I follow on Instagram.
So it's a real thing. I've never heard of it until this week.
Yeah.
But there's a quote in here. The title of this article is Denver Once Again Named America's Worst City to Find Love. And you'll see the link to this in our show notes because we're super good about that.
Yeah.
And there's a quote in here. It says, in describing Denver's dating scene, Howie comments, Denver sees itself as an active city, which is true. They are actively getting worse at dating and relationships. Denver men, the epicenter of bad bro culture, bearded, unkempt, and disinterested, content to lead an existence built around pot, porn, and PlayStation, all washed down with overrated craft beer. And the city's women are equally part of the problem, convincing themselves that their confused style of nose rings, bad tattoos, and Lululemon make them too edgy to relate, spending all waking hours at a co-working cafe plotting their conscious coaching empire, loudly declaring themselves too important to date. And that was the best quote I've read in a long time.
That whole thing right there?
That whole thing. I haven't... There was a column in the DU Business Review. I forget what it's called. It was a beer column written by one of my buddies, and he had that same kind of tone in all of his writing. And he actually went on to become a reporter. I think he writes for the Aurora newspaper. But this one that I just read, that was a real entertaining read.
Yeah, interesting.
Mostly because it's spot on.
So I know, and this was from the Great Love Debate with Brian Howie podcast that I guess like tours and evaluates each city's dateability or whatever, the dating community. Okay, so there you go. And also in the comedy community, this is all very much echoed, right? Everybody tells jokes about dating. But the thing is that, like, I know this, I've heard this, I hear about it every night because, of course, a lot of people tell jokes about dating. I cannot believe that, okay, on Hinge, where I was, that men still post a picture of themselves holding a fish. that men still post pictures of their trucks and their motorcycles. It's bizarre. Now, I spoke to one woman who said, okay, a picture of a motorcycle, maybe I talked about this last week, like I can get that stands for adventure. He'll take me out. I'm okay. All right. Okay. I have a nasty joke that I told actually at Comedy Works about like, well, at least you look like you take care of your things if you have a nice truck, I guess. So maybe I'm curious if you'll take care of me and my things. But otherwise, why are you posting a picture of your truck? I don't care. And guys with pictures of fish. So then my friend and I were talking about like and now I've opened it up to all the friends. Here's what I'd rather see a picture of. I'd like to see evidence that you have a bed that sleeps 2 people. That seems good. A mortgage statement. I would like evidence that you are paying your mortgage every month. That would be a real sexy picture versus you holding a rainbow trout that you caught. I mean, clean bathroom. Show me like a timestamp that your bathroom is clean every week. That'd be fantastic. That is sexy. But guys post pictures of their fish and their trucks and climbing. Anyway, I'm done. I can't. Oh my God. I can't stand it, Andrew. And that whole thing about like the porn, like it appeared to me, and then this has been confirmed by my younger friends, that there is a whole bunch of people, there's a whole group of people who would be happy to never meet in person. They send nudes. And I mean, I've had high school kids tell me that recently because I am reaching out to more younger people and going, what is it that you wish adults knew about your lives? But it's not that. That's a different conversation. But this young woman is telling me, no, that's what it is in high school. They don't date anymore. And I go, we adults, we know that. We get the part that they don't date so much, and we see it as like, as a parent, we've seen it as like, oh my gosh, they go to homecoming as groups anymore. They don't go on dates, right? Oh, it's just a new social construct. I think it is also fueled by they send each other nudes. Like that's their intimacy, is sexting all the time.
Maybe I just missed this by a hair, but
maybe
I've never received a nude.
Okay, great.
In high school,
God, that's good to know.
There, one guy out of 50, he would get someone to send him nude pictures, and then he would do every other guy the favor of showing them around the locker room, or
I mean, we know that's how it works,
right? So I wonder if it's still that way, or if everyone, including the nerds, are getting nudes these days.
Okay, that's a good question. Right, and I don't know. And I kind of want to investigate that. But honestly, it did sort of ping something in me for parents. Like, we see this as like, oh, they don't date anymore. But then the young people are telling me, and maybe it's just the freaks who are, who I'm running into. But like they're saying, no, instead of intimacy with a boy and a girl in high school, it's let's send each other nudes. And I'm like, ooh. And then it appears to be, that is kind of what I found on Hinge, to tell you the truth, is a couple of guys who were like happy to be flirty, texty, but then what it came down to is, will you? And I'm like, no, I for real will not. I will meet you for coffee in real life. I'm interested in if you want to get to know me, but no, I don't want that kind of relationship. And it seems like a lot of them do.
I was surprised.
It's not even funny
when you said that the Russian porn bot, you hadn't said it was a Russian porn bot at the time, was asking for dick pics, because you've told me many times in previous, let's say, online dating forays, that women do absolutely not want dick pics. They don't want dick pics.
Really don't.
Never send a woman a picture of your dick.
No, certainly not without consent. Nope, not what I want.
Mm-mm. And there was actually an incident where a friend of mine, someone posted her name and actual phone number and, surprisingly accurate measurements of her to Craigslist, and accompanied it with a actual porn photo that was, it was clearly not her.
It wasn't her.
But then she proceeded to get like in the hundreds, maybe low hundreds of responses from men on Craigslist with pictures of their penises.
Yeah.
Whew.
Gross.
Extremely gross.
And that was somebody just pranking somebody else, right?
Someone pranking someone.
Yuck. See, that's the thing.
It felt a little bit more. It felt a lot more malicious than that at the time.
Oh yeah. No, that doesn't feel pranky at all to me. That feels malicious and disgusting.
It sure was.
Yeah. Okay, so that's what I'm saying is that I ran into a little bit of that real quickly, and that's where I went. I'm not ready for this. I'm seriously not ready. That is not what I'm looking for. Like I said, I got 2 things out of it. I spent time with, and completely, what's the word I'm looking for? Platonic time with a lovely old friend that reminded, like we had talks about high school and middle school, and that was really kind of cute and fun. And I brought a date to the comedy open mic, which was actually hilarious because even though it wasn't a date, it was fun and he was being a good sport about it and everything. And he was a guy who that's not his scene. He was absolutely being a good sport. And the next day was like, yeah, that was fun seeing a different, subculture, part of the world that I'm not used to. But it was very funny for the other boys at comedy to see me come in with, I don't know, it was kind of good for my rep. I don't know. And that just like, it's not all you guys. Anyway, and secondly, I met one guy who we shall see, like maybe all I have done so far is text him, but maybe he could be, he's also he's in the therapy profession or adjacent. So he and I have, he and I actually, as soon as we started talking on Hinge, share an interest in mental health of young people. So that's a real sexy thing to bond over. You know what I mean? This is not like a flirty thing with a guy who wants to see a nude. This is like maybe a guy that I'll be friends with. And so I'm cautiously optimistic and I have his number in my phone that maybe he and I will be friends and meet soon and go for coffee. That's what I got at a Hinge for the win. Thank you very much. 6 days in, that ain't bad. But the rest of it, I went, no, and I'm not ready. And I had a very adolescent attitude about it anyway. It just, and then seriously, seeing that performance art with these kids, it was gosh darn funny and I was all for it and I went, I wouldn't want to be the woman on the other end of that. So I'm out. But that was specifically Tinder, and I think the young people had told me all along Tinder's gross. Tinder is a hookup app. So I think there's also that. Like people are in it for different reasons, and if you're on Tinder, maybe you know. Okay, enough of that. But I sent you then. Did you listen to that podcast? I know you didn't.
Of course not.
No.
Of course not. You sent me a link to the Joe Rogan podcast.
I've been listening to it for so much lately.
I've been spending a lot of mental energy not listening to the Joe Rogan podcast because it seems to be so obscenely popular. I feel like I'm being very cool by not listening to it.
I have done the same for so long, Andrew. For so long, I have actively avoided. Okay, that's funny. But I'm a dummy, and so are you, for thinking that, because what I did for inspiration on the night that I was going to Comedy Works is I listened to Nikki Glaser because, as I mentioned, I just watched her
who you and I saw live at Comedy Works.
Yeah, we sure did when she was building her new set. And sorta. I listened to her. I watched her new special. You'd seen it, right?
I started it. I listened for 5 minutes and then got distracted and turned it off.
Okay.
So I haven't seen it.
I love it. And I watched it finally, and just as I was doing some pottery, and it made me laugh out loud. And she's great. And I watched it after I had started doing some jokes that were in this. I mean, we talked about it last week. Dick. That I started doing that before I saw her stuff, which is a lot about that. Anyway, I listened to her interview with Joe Rogan to be inspired, and I was on the day that I was doing comedy at Comedy Works. But she talks a lot about dating.
Yeah.
And she confirmed...
Dating as a female comedian.
Well, that's where they go with it. I sent you those quotes. But she just starts about dating. And even in her set, the hour-long on Netflix, I relate. I mean, I get it. Because the thing is, she's like very raunchy and sexy and all this. But of course, inside, it's just this like, I don't get it when guys ghost me. She's like, I don't get it. I don't get why they seem into me and then they just disappear. Or they're not into me all the way or whatever. And Joe Rogan is great. And at one point she goes, like, he sets her straight. She's like, I think it's because of this. And he goes, no, let's just listen. Listen, you're a lot. And that's what I say about myself, right? And that's my fear, is that I'm too much.
You're your own Joe Rogan.
No.
You've got to...
I say it to myself? You mean,
instead of an angel and a devil on each shoulder, you've got a Lisa Lampanelli and a Joe Rogan.
No, it is not Joe Rogan or myself who has told me I'm too much. It's a lot of people that's a real thing that people have told me my whole damn life. Stop being so loud, stop being so crass. Why do you need so much attention? You're too much. So first of all, Joe Rogan says that to Nikki Glaser, like, well, you're a lot. And then he says then I sent you the quotes. He says, you have to find someone, first of all, that's going to be able to deal with the fact that you're a comic. And even though I have not identified as a comic my whole life, I've had that same big personality. And that's depressing to realize that, who can deal with it. The first step in finding love for someone like Nikki Glaser or me is to find someone who can deal with the fact that you are who you are. That sucks. It feels shitty. And then he says, women comedians, it's a unique requirement that you have of people. And that's Joe Rogan talking about, just like most men like to be the center of attention. That's his take on it. And he's like, not all men. And then they talk about like some women comics they know, or even Joe Rogan. He says, I am less out there in social situations. My wife is the one who can turn it on at a party and be funny at a party, but I don't, la. And then, oh my God, then it's so great. Nikki Glaser's like, she talked about how some other comic met her and at first just didn't like her. And she's like, what do you mean? I mean, like, we're all funny. You know I'm funny. And he admitted, you just kind of reminded me of my mom, and yelling at me when I heard you do your comedy. And then she was like, there it is, funny girls. We remind you of your moms. And then she said, if you had an overbearing mom telling you like it is all the time, blah, blah, blah. That's how you receive us. And she goes, I would hate female comics too if I had an overbearing mother. Oh my God, that's all we are. We're the girls out there who are loud and yelly and telling you like it is. That's kind of funny. And I have 100% experienced that in these past few months. There have been young men who have come up to me and gone like, I heard your set. I sort of felt like you were doing it at me, and I was frightened. I mean, I loved you, and I would go home with you, but I was scared. It's like, oh, my God. And it has occurred to me in the past week, actually, some other funny stuff that happened with my comedy was to, like, go ahead and lean into that. Like, know that I look like your scary stepmom who might try to get you into bed. Like lean into that as a character on stage. It's kind of gross, but like realize that's how I'm coming off, and it's a little bit scary, but that's funny. Anyway, that's not super encouraging to me. There's Nikki Glaser, who's beautiful and young and funny and powerful and successful. And she is also going, oh, yeah, nobody can deal with me. I'm too much.
Well, there's so many things that we do that aren't comedy that are deal breakers for people. I wouldn't get hung up on the comedy thing as a deal breaker, you know?
Oh, you think I have other deal breakers? That are more
in the same way that you told me that not having a car and riding a motorcycle and not having art on the wall are deal breakers. People just have deal breakers, and that's fine,
right?
You know?
Yes.
I wouldn't place too much.
Well, as we've been discussing, the picture right there on this article, by the way, Denver once again named America's worst city to find love. Mm-hmm. The banner is literally. Might be the opposite direction, but that's literally the view that I have 2 or 3 nights a week where I'm sitting down on those steps at Comedy Works going...
At Larimer Square.
Where are the good men who are out there who can take care of me and who want to be a part of me and I can take care of them? Where is my love? Why am I not meeting anyone who seems even viable? Oh, yeah, right, because I'm hanging out with the other comics backstage. Undateable. Anyway, you wanted to follow up on the dating scene. It's been a little depressing, except that I don't know that I care, Andrew. I am certainly not ready to share my life with anybody. I don't think I'll ever couple again. I think I'll be alone. And I think that's okay. I think it's okay. And I can have friends along the way. I can't imagine. I'm not kidding. I cannot imagine. And I think statistically,
I'm not sure what my response is supposed to be there. I think I'm going to be alone forever, and that's okay. Am I supposed to say... That seems like an excellent realization. I'm glad you're comfortable.
Do you have any actual feelings about it? You're not supposed to say anything.
Okay, I'm not going to say anything.
Well, I mean, you're not supposed to say anything. You're supposed to say I want to hear what your why? Does it make you sad? Is that a depressing? Like, do you feel
that sounds very depressing?
You're supposed to say, no, tish, tish, Mrs. Filholm, you won't be alone. I'm not saying it like that. See, I think that I'm calling...
I also like it when people say things are going to be this way, and I'm okay with that. Yeah. Like, that seems like a good thing. But it does sound very sad.
Okay, does it? Because I'm saying that maybe the idea that what I should be out there doing is finding someone else to complete me is cutting the ends off the roast. I have raised a family. I have had... You know what I mean? I am 51 years old.
Sure.
Why do I need another? Why do I need somebody to share my life?
After you get past reproduction and making offspring who will carry on your blood and your name and whatever, what's the purpose of a relationship? Is an interesting thought.
It's an interesting thought, and obviously I sound very shrill right now, and I am. At a stage of my life of rejecting the things that I would have 100% fully embraced when I was your age and for all those years, that we are meant to be in a couple, that we are best that way, that is the human desire, that we can only be better when we whatever. And right now I'm in a phase of like, I don't need anybody to complete me, and other people who, you know what I mean? Like, and I feel like there are other people might get in my way, and I am whatever. I'm in a very, very different phase of life than I've ever been, but there is a certain joy and freedom in realizing I really don't have to take care of anybody. And I suppose that also appears to be like, God, that's kind of pathetic. Like, wow, what if you die alone? I don't know. I'm just questioning the whole construct. I'm questioning what it would mean. I certainly am not going to be the person, I'll tell you that, who's going to rush out and get married again. You know what I mean? Maybe someday I will, but I am not rushing out to the point that, no kidding, I mean, it's all fun and games, but going on Hinge just made me go, yeah, I'm not looking for I don't know what I'm looking for is the problem. So that doesn't seem fair to be reaching out to other people with the assumption that maybe what we're doing here is forging some kind of relationship where I'm over here going, I don't really know. I'm not sure. You'd have to be. I can't imagine what it looks like. And we've talked about it. Where would I go out in real life and meet people? And then 303magazine.com is not helping us with
303 Magazine says if you want to find love, get out of Denver because there's none to be had here.
See?
Maybe that's just their way of scaring off potential, people who are moving to Denver.
Well, it's also a way of them.
Lot of that.
Look at this. It's also an ad for the Great Love Debate. Yeah, right. Putting on a special show at the Denver Improv on November 20th. So it is also a way to get people to come and debate it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But you're right. Maybe it's to keep people away because they don't want people anymore, Yeah, right. Because the influx of people from California and Texas is real alarming to people for many years now.
That's right.
So there you have it.
I'm gonna tell you where we are right now. Right now we're at 50 minutes.
Sweet.
And I do kind of have a hard stop today. I'm not sure.
Right.
I'm not sure when it needs to be.
Oh.
Maybe in the next 20 minutes.
Yep.
But I'll give you the option. We can either end the episode and leave people hanging, waiting for more excellent content from us until next week, or we can talk about cultural appropriation. Because
do that real quick.
I've got a bone to pick with you.
Okay, if you've got a few minutes, pick your bone.
So we didn't bring it up last week, but the last time we recorded was either Halloween or the day after Halloween.
It was Halloween.
Which is an American holiday where we dress up as people of other nationalities in order to make fun of them.
No, we don't. Nope.
Oh, am I wrong on that?
My culture is not your costume.
Well, anyways, I got an alert. Just in the same way Google thinks I'm super interested in the royal family in Google News, it also thinks that I'm interested in Pamela Anderson's Halloween costume this year.
Dear me.
This year she was wearing a massive Native American headdress.
Ooh.
And there were all kinds of hot takes on how she's the devil and she's poking fun at Indians and Native Americans, excuse me. And coincidentally, I've been thinking a lot about the usage of the term ride or die because you say it all the time, and you picked it up from the young people, I understand. But it kind of just grates on me. It rubs me the wrong way. So
I don't say it all the time. I post it in reference to two of my female friends on Instagram.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. So anyways,
it is a very Pacific usage in my life. Okay.
I realized that I don't even know what that means. So I turned to
Same here.
The source of all knowledge, Urban Dictionary. And let me tell you, Mrs. Filholm, ride or die was originally a biker term, meaning if you couldn't ride, you'd rather die.
I know.
It is now changed to mean anyone, wife, boyfriend, best friend, that you will ride any problems out with them or die trying. The ride doesn't always have to be a negative either. Obviously, if you're this close to someone, you want them to enjoy the ride. So here's what you've done, Mrs. Filholm. You have appropriated ride or die from my people, biker culture, and we're not happy about it. We want it back.
All right.
You're no longer allowed to say it.
You didn't even know what it meant.
But now I'm angry about it. I feel like that's kind of how these cultural appropriation things work out. I had no idea that a sombrero was racist. A sombrero was really a hot button issue for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. But I wore it anyways, and that's how ride or die is.
I mean, I would like to play along with you with this. It's just that's a bad. Why would it be offensive to a biker culture that I have appropriate just because I don't have a motorcycle?
Yes.
So it's stealing valor.
It's as though you're making fun of us.
Yeah, that is similar because what I have done is like my girlfriends and I have a version of, we have little keychains that we share that says ride or die and has a bicycle because one of my friends is really into spin and she spins a lot and I like my bike. So yes, we have appropriated it. That is true. We have made it into something not contrary to the original meaning, but we have diminutized it. Is that a word? We have made it silly. Now we talk about bicycles and like you're my ride or dies. You're there with me till the end. I would rather, but Yep, we have made it a little bit silly because certainly we don't own motorcycles and we are not ever in life or death situations with each other. And that is similar to, yeah, that's really okay. You're right. It's similar to me wearing a name necklace, a gold name chain necklace. It's similar to that. That's like one certain militant people would say, or not militant, that's a derogatory, certain
Like a dog
strong
tag?
people. No, like my little gold, I have a little gold necklace that says Sweet Wheezy, like the name necklace.
Mm-hmm.
That's very like,
That's stolen valor?
yeah, that's blackface. I was going to say, some people would say that's blackface. That is like a very urban African-American woman tradition that when a basic bitch white girl wears it, there's a little bit of blackface there. There's a little bit of cultural appropriation. Absolutely. I mean, to the point that, oh my God. I mean, especially with black influence on our culture, we can go back and back and back and back and back. That, I mean, it starts with the blues. It starts with, I mean, whatever. There's a lot of culture, and then it is appropriated. And when you see the white suburban kids Dave Chappelle's whole show was about that in many ways, right? And yeah, okay, so you're right. That is how it feels. You're joking about it. I wish it were a phrase that you actually claimed or knew or meant something to you, because it is similar. Like, this is something that we take very seriously, and we know this because we have been in it reminds me more of like the sort of no man, like a military. If we were saying that, you know what I mean? No man left behind kind of thing. I could see a military guy being actually offended, like...
Well, you know that I have no cause to be offended about everything.
Exactly right. I'm just saying...
It's all literally rosy in Andrewland.
Well, in Andrewland it is. And so that's why I'm saying that I'll go there with you and I will talk you through this comparison. I think it is legitimate, but you still cannot understand.
This is the plight of the white man, is we don't really have any things that we're allowed to be fired up about, or anything that might fire us up, because it's all silly, right?
It's all silly.
It's all silly.
And for somebody who, I mean, seriously, my culture is not your costume, is what the native people would say.
Talk about handicaps. Having nothing to get fired up about is a real handicap. Handicapable.
The challenge there, it's not having nothing to be fired up about, because I think men are fired up about. It's having no ability to understand that, like to have nothing in your life where you feel like you're coming at it from that place, like you are appropriating my thing, and that actually wounds me, and that actually brings me down. That actually feels like you like, that's the handicap of being a white man, is to have no reference. Okay, for example, we know men who do get groped by women. Oh my God, Nikki Glaser and Joe Rogan were talking about that. He's talking about, when he goes out and gets his picture taken in public, he's saying the worst thing at the meet and greets are the drunk middle-aged ladies. Like, they're drunk and they're loud and they're without their husbands and they're groping me, and they really are. And Nikki Glaser is going, okay, that's not okay. Stop groping Joe Rogan. It's no more okay to grope him than it is to grope a woman in public. But the difference is, and he will sit there and acknowledge it every time, the difference is that when I'm getting groped, the man can likely overpower me. The drunk lady's groping Joe Rogan is more of an annoyance, but he has never been out in the world on a freaking public bus, been grabbed by a man who scares you, and you have to get off the bus and walk into the nearest business and go, hi, pretend like you know me, okay? And women do. We all know that feeling. It's a joke. It's like it's a joke to us. Like, of course, when the Me Too movement started, like the actual hashtag Me Too, I don't even, of course. Well, yeah, most of us have been date raped. Most of us have been groped in public. So we walk around with a little bit of a chip on our shoulder about that. That men, I think, the handicap for you is you can't quite put yourself in that space, no matter what. I mean, and that's not to say that men do not get sexual. Oh my gosh, of course they do. They get sexually abused, and oh my God, there's so much of it. But I'm just saying that is the thing for white men. Any version of it, you don't have the actual experience of being demeaned, belittled, scared by who you are, held back because of your looks. You don't have the experience of walking into a store and people thinking one thing about you other than like, oh yeah, here you are. You know what I mean?
I don't know what you mean, but that's the point, huh?
I mean, I think that is legitimately true, that I do. And and I love white men, and I raised white men, and I do not think that you are evil people. But I do think that is where there is something there that you are absolutely, you have no reference point for ever having you have no reference point for your privilege. You have no reference point for how actually it is easier for you. And therefore, everybody else who has a complaint, it's funny to you. Or it seems trivial or it seems dangerous. And I just think you really don't get it. And I don't get it on a lot of ways. My only reference into it maybe is, right, being a woman and going, I understand that, like I was just saying. Other than that, I am so privileged. I mean, the police, we've talked about it a little bit. The police in my little neighborhood here, oh my God, I'm aware of my privilege. When I call, they come. They pay attention to me. The woman across the street who is a woman of color does not get the same treatment from the Denver police as I do. And she is, as far as I can tell, just as much of an upstanding citizen. In fact, she has a paying job that she goes to every day. I don't even have that, do I? She is raising a child whom she takes to school and gymnastics class. I mean, as far as I can tell, she is as upstanding a citizen. Her yard is always spotless, but boy, oh boy, she gets different treatment by not only the police, but you know what else? We share a couple of services like the security alarm system and the gutters and siding. There was a time that they were not giving her response. So when I had the gutter guy coming, I said, just go across the street and help her too. I'm not kidding. Like, she gets a different response than I do. And I am sorry to be aware of that, but I have seen it. Just those little examples are just true things. I've seen them happen in my life. And I am so Pollyanna sometimes that I don't even want to admit that can be true. Like, certainly we're past that. No, I get treatment. I get treated differently by the police because I'm a cute white girl than if I were a black man or even a woman of color. I think it's true. So I'm looking at Pamela Anderson's costume. Mostly
really
it's just sexy pictures with a lot of feathers. How is she's older than me, right?
I have no idea how
the heck does her body still look like that? Mostly this is a picture of her ass going up some stairs and she's wearing a big headdress and it says Happy Halloween. Is that all there was?
Yeah, I think so.
And then there's one maybe where she's covered with milk.
In the age of Twitter, that's enough for an article.
Sure.
That's the ass and headdress that launched 1,000 blog posts.
Well, then you go, you know what else? The medium is the message.
Take that, Helen of Troy, right?
Yeah, and that gives me like the depressing of the medium is the message. That's the state of our discourse in our culture. Exactly right. Right. We're in that. Yep. Twitter wars, bro. What do you expect? We cannot complain about the dumb level of our discourse when we are doing it in that fashion. We're on Twitter. What? It's
so
true.
Much ruckus, Mrs. Filholm. Okay. It's so much ruckus.
Okay, well, thanks for bringing the ruckus, Mr. Bridges.
That was fun.
Was it fun?
I've been watching Jeeves and Wooster again, which is a nice 1920s kind of thing.
Yeah.
And they would describe this particular episode as a real corker.
Is it?
Yes.
It's a real corker.
That's right.
All right. Well, thanks for bringing the ruckus. Thanks, Andrew. Bye.
See you next week. Bye.